Today we're going to focus on an invasive species known as the Asian carp, which includes silver, bighead, grass, and black carp from Southeast Asia. We're going to look at how they got here, how they impact biodiversity, and what we can do. In the 1970s, the U.S. imported Asian carp to help fish farms in Arkansas filter their pond water. In the 80s, they escaped their boundaries during a flood. Once they found their way into the wild, they began reproducing and quickly established a sizable population in rivers and streams. Asian carp have been extremely successful for many reasons. They are filter feeders, and it's not unusual for them to consume 20% of their body weight every day. They have no natural predators. They can grow as large as 100 pounds, and each time a female spawns, she lays approximately 500,000 eggs. Asian carp also exhibit phenotypic plasticity in spawning and in their ability to tolerate varied environments. They can spawn in a wide range of water conditions over a long time frame, anywhere from large rivers to small streams. They also exhibit plasticity in their diet. They can feed on a wide range of phytoplankton, zooplankton, and detritus. Their ability to adapt so many aspects of their lifestyle to such varied habitats and conditions allows them to outcompete many native species. The biodiversity of freshwater ecosystems is vulnerable to invasive species because they are often somewhat isolated, with not a lot of options for native species to flee to other areas. Asian carp are literally stealing plankton from other fish and disrupting the food chain. They outcompete native fish for food and habitat. They have altered water quality in some areas and have had a negative impact on ecosystem processes. Since their invasion, there's also been a decline in body conditions of native fish. Another factor affecting biodiversity is the synergistic effect of invasive species and climate change. Climate change also tests the ability of a species to adapt to new environmental conditions. As climate change causes warmer water temperatures, this may increase the stress on native fish species more adapted to colder water. However, this may provide prime conditions for Asian carp, allowing them to outcompete other fish to an even greater degree. It has been predicted that with the warmer temperatures, invasive fish species may begin to invade the Great Lakes, bringing not only competition for resources, but also parasites that could cause even further decline in native species. Asian carp can also jump out of the water as high as 15 feet when they are startled. There have been cases of boaters suffering from broken bones after being hit by a silver carp. Also, if Asian carp make their way into the Great Lakes, it's feared that tourism revenue from fishing would decrease if the carp starve out the trout and other native species that make fishermen flock to this area. Some entrepreneurs are trying to capitalize on the increase in Asian carp with bow fishing tours and the Redneck Fishing Tournament in Illinois. While increased recreational harvesting is one of the ways to mitigate the Asian carp invasion, most believe that we will have to go much farther than this. Protocols need to be in place for early detection of carp and rapid response. One way to detect carp is through environmental DNA. Barriers, including electric fences, have been placed in rivers in order to prevent fish from entering new waterways and lakes. We also need to focus on improving the water quality and the habitat so it's more advantageous to native species. Also, restrictions need to be put in place on their use as bait fish, public or private use for algae control, and live transport for the seafood market. Perhaps the most important is effective communication between the public, researchers, and wildlife management so that everyone is informed about what is happening and the impacts of the Asian carp on the biodiversity of freshwater ecosystems and how these impacts can be mitigated.
Created using Powtoon.